You know, we've mapped just about every inch of our continents, and we've reached for the stars. But what about the massive frontier right here on our own planet? Today, we're going to dive into a project that could finally unlock the secrets of the deep sea. So let's get right into it.
Okay, let's start with a number that it sets the stage for everything we're about to talk about. 95%. That's the percentage of our planet's oceans that are still completely, totally unexplored. It is, without a doubt, the biggest mystery left on Earth.
And here's the big roadblock, right? The fundamental problem is time. Our trips to the deep sea, they're basically just quick visits. Scientists get a few hours, maybe, before they absolutely have to come back to the surface. And that bottleneck has seriously held back what we can learn.
So let's start by talking about this incredible, unexplored final frontier.
I mean, think about it. This is a world that has captivated us for centuries. From old myths about Atlantis to the amazing voyages of Jacques Cousteau, that desire to understand what's really down there, it's just always been part of our DNA.
So, how in the world do we get past that time barrier? Well, that brings us to the hero of our story today, the Vanguard habitat.
Okay, before we dive into the cool specifics, let's just make sure we're all on the same page. A subsea habitat isn't a submarine that moves around. No, it's a stationary home. It's like a base of operations that lets people actually live and work for long stretches right there on the ocean floor. So this is Vanguard. It's the brainchild of a UK company called Deep. And this first version, this pilot project, is designed to house a crew of 4 people for up to an entire week, completely underwater. Now, that alone is an absolute game changer for marine science.
All right, so the big question is, how does this thing actually work? The design is actually pretty brilliant. It's modular. It breaks down into 3 key parts. First up, you've got the living chamber. Think of this as the main apartment, a totally self-contained little world where the crew eats, sleeps, and works. Then there's the diving center, which is basically the front door to the ocean. And most importantly, the whole thing is anchored by this massive seabed base, keeping it stable against all that pressure and any powerful currents.
But the habitat isn't totally on its own down there. There's a floating platform way up on the surface that acts as its lifeline, pumping down compressed air, power, and of course, communications to keep the crew safe and connected to the world above.
Okay, so we get how it works, but why does this change, well, everything?
This comparison really says it all, doesn't it? We are literally moving from these short, disruptive dives to being able to stay down there for extended periods. Instead of constantly coming up and down, we get a continuous presence. It's the difference between visiting a forest for an hour and actually living in it for a week. The kind of data you can get is just on a whole other level.
And the CEO of Deep, Norman Smith, he puts it perfectly. He says that making these unexplored zones accessible to divers is going to open up, quote, a whole new realm of science. We're not just talking about small improvements here. We're talking about a paradigm shift. So what does that new realm of science actually look like? Well, the potential uses are incredible. Just imagine being able to restore coral reefs with constant hands-on attention, monitoring the effects of climate change in real time, or even using this isolated extreme environment to train astronauts for missions to Mars or beyond. The possibilities are just huge.
And this is super important. This isn't just some cool concept on a computer screen. Vanguard has been officially certified by DNV, which is a global authority on subsea engineering. Getting that classification is a huge deal. It means the habitat has passed all these intense, independent tests for safety, for its structure, for its life support systems. It proves this thing is the real deal.
So, where does this all lead? Well, it might just be the dawn of aquatic humans. Right now, the Vanguard pilot habitat is designed to operate at a depth of about 65 feet. Now that's a pretty strategic choice. It's a depth that divers can still get to with standard scuba gear, which makes it perfect for all the initial research and training.
But that's just the beginning. The next big goal is to go 10 times deeper, all the way down to 650 feet. Reaching that depth would open up enormous new areas of the ocean that have been pretty much impossible for us to study long-term until now.
And here's the ultimate vision, the grand plan. Deep doesn't just want to build one habitat. They imagine a whole network of permanent underwater stations, basically turning ocean exploration from a series of rare, special expeditions into just a routine part of science. Which of course leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. We've mastered the land, and we've started our journey into space.
So with technology like Vanguard, are we finally on the verge of truly living in the last great frontier on our own planet? Is the ocean our next home?